Hey everyone. So this will be part 4. This is about an hour after I recorded part 3. Part 3 was way too long. After the whole session, I thought, wow, that took a lot out of me. How long exactly was that last recording? Like an hour? 2 hours. It was 2 hours. 2 hours for 50 Pokemon. And I'm going to be cutting that down. Cutting that down a lot. Mainly because I know how much I already ramble. And because 2 hours, I want to try and get that down closer to an hour. But, oh well. It means I had a lot to talk about with those. And hopefully I have a lot to talk about these Pokemon. So, time to begin. Chagrin, Cheshade. So it's trying to be a Cheshire cat, but not having seen Alice in Wonderland, this is going to be real strange. I like how the neck brace is supposed to look like a smile, but it's also supposed to look, again, like more neck frills that I associate with the conquistadors. I'll put up a picture because I'm not entirely sure what they are. So it works in both design and visual concept. That's where the line concept comes from. It's just more of a rough, this is supposed to be a smile, to this is supposed to be a denotion of class. Which I like. Having the cat grow a little bit more cynical over time, I appreciate. Looking so adorable here, like you could just hug it and it wouldn't care, to this one being, get away from me, I hate everything. That is my understanding of cats, having never owned one. And then that also being denoted in its tail, which starts off all happy, kind of like Daylight Dark Shadow from My Hero, to just two hands that have claws and will attack you if provoked. I like how differently the colors are too. How it goes from a orange and maroon to a lavender and a deeper red. It's different, but there are enough similarities in the line where that difference is very appreciated. But then you're also, because you keep the tail, the neck brace, and the white around the eyes, works great. It's a great example of how you can change the color in two Pokemon in the same line, but still have them obviously being an evolution of one another. Doppole and Artifish. Well, we see who are supposed to be the Pokeball trappers this game. Why is it a tadpole and then an anglerfish? That's a little strange to me, but I still kind of like it. Why are they normal? Well, okay. Doppole, Artifish. So tadpole and a fish. Why aren't they water typed? They can be normal water typed. The normal comes from having a Pokeball and just trapping things without really care. But it's in the name. This is a fish that isn't a water type. And it's even got fins. And a tail. And it's obviously an angler. How do you have an anglerfish and it's not water? That is my major concern with the line, is these are obviously supposed to be fish. Many fish can be green. I believe tadpoles are the second thing in an amphibian. So yeah, they would have legs and no arms. And they can go on land. Artifish is a little weird because it's supposed to be more of a fish and it's not an amphibian. But you decided to make one, but then it's still not water. If this is supposed to be an amphibian, it can go in water, and that's half of its life. And if I was somebody playing through this the first time, I'd be using grass moves on this like crazy. Same with electric, and it wouldn't be doing anything, and I'd be very confused. That's more confusing than the thing I thought was steel type, steel electric. Oh, Vectel and Vectel 2. That's more confusing than these two. At least with these two, they're scorpions. You can see a poison type here. and I think someone said a virus. You can see where the poison comes from. Normal comes from the Pokeball, but where the heck did water go? Thorax. But then you also have axe for arms. So I kind of like it. So 2 of the 3 defining features on this are definitely its axe arms and its thorax itself. I like that they aren't just the only things. I like how exaggerated its legs are. I'm not sure how much I like its detailed head. I think you should simplify the shapes on its head just to make it look less like a 3rd evolution and more like a 2nd or single stage. But other than that, I really like it. It almost looks like it's supposed to be a firefighter, actually. With the bright red and yellow, maybe the blue would denote water, and then the axe being a firefighter's axe, just to cut down doors in case they can't open up, well, doors. I wonder if that's actually the inspiration. If so, that's pretty dang cool. I think it brings that pretty easily up into minds, despite not having much that is modernly associated with firefighters other than the color scheme. Okay. I don't remember what Pokemon it was, but earlier in one of the earlier 100, I thought something should have a Pompadour. Or later I saw that these 3 Pokemon existed. So obviously 2 Pompadours can't exist at the same place. I'm sorry. There can't be 2 lines of Pokemon with Pompadours. It's too great. And some line has to have that full power. So Pomperunt, Pompagoon, and Hyakuza. Okay, Hyakuza. I love it. I love the Pompadour hairstyle. And despite being the art being a bit rough, I can get behind these designs. Pomperunt, I like how small the Pompadour is. I think it should be a little bit more of a focus. Maybe trim down the fur a little bit so that the Pompadour is more exaggerated even on the little one. But I love how balls to the wall, yeah, this thing is. Papagoon, hey, what's up? I like it. It's just trying to front on ya. It's trying to act all bad, but you know it ain't. And its Pompadour is a little bit more exaggerated. I think it needs to be a little bit more rounded. You can extend it out a little bit, maybe not give it that whoa just yet, but yeah, it's trying real hard to look bad. And I like the collar really looks like a jacket collar brought up, so you still got the 50s greaser popping through. This one's just it's too much. It is too much. And then finally, Hyakuza. Woo! This Pompadour, is so huge. I love it, and it doesn't even have to act that bad. It knows its strength. It can just beat you down without having to look all tough. And the jacket, even more accentuated with the break in between. Like maybe the jacket's grown with it. It's gone through a lot of fights along with Hyakuza. And that, yeah, you can just see it over time stay stagnant as the creature gradually becomes more powerful. I love the concept. I even like the color scheme beneath the jacket and how the jacket kind of forms with the Pompadour. Maybe have the jacket more lying on top of Pomperunt and you can barely see the paws over it. But it's not wearing the jacket. I like how the gray just kind of shows up, but then in verses on Hyakuza, dark fighting, yeah, with how dark the jacket is, you can completely understand where dark's coming from, and then Papagoon and Hyakuza showing fighting poses, kind of, they're ready to throw down whenever. I love this line. It's great. Okay, so it's 2 1 stages. But I think that they're supposed to be correlated, so I'm gonna kind of group them up. Erikun and Liu-kun. So both of them, I think Eri-kun does a much better job of showing rounded edges while still looking like a normal creature. And its tail looks like the powerhouse of the Pokemon, for sure. And I like how the circles around its legs just show kneecaps. And then around its ears show the actual, just inner ears. It's not so blatant as to just put circles everywhere, but where joints or where it would seem natural. So I really appreciate that. And then just the red and white color scheme, I really like. Liu-kun, I again still like the white blue, but the white is very overpowering here. In Eri-kun, the red's everywhere. It almost seems like the primary color despite having white be in the main body. I think Liu-kun could use a different recolor, or different coloring in general, just because the circles seem a little haphazard. They're on each of the each of the 4 limbs and the head, and almost nowhere else on the main body is there blue. Maybe you could do like a vest where it starts off like a blue tank top going down, creating a V down below, and maybe that'd help. And then it'd also give some sharp angles to work with instead of just such a rounded form. Maybe that'd help bring light to the sharpness of the nose. It has a very, very similar idea to Eri-kun, but you can see how differently and how effectively 2 different concepts can be shown in 2 different artists, because this really looks like maybe 2 friends met up and said, let's make joint Pokemon. If you could just recolor or add color to Liu-kun, that would help out its design a whole lot. So, goodness, these were some good Pokemon. Even just this screen alone, I love this line, I love this line, I love this line, this one's great. So, my thoughts that these Pokemon were made by a whole bunch of different artists were confirmed with my first video. And I'm trying to ignore artistic skill with line work when it comes to the designs of Pokemon. Because yeah, the line work on this is not as great as this. And then same with the Pompadour line. But you can understand where the physical abilities of the artist stop and where the concept can continue. And that's what I'm trying to go with. Because whenever you're going to be doing pixel art, you're probably going to have a static team at best, and maybe just one person that is going to be spriting every Pokemon. So it shouldn't matter how exactly it's drawn if the concept is that strong. Like Pompagoon, I bet its sprites probably just it probably improved compared to its drawing here, which is very... That Pompadour doesn't look like a very good Pompadour. It looks better. They thinned out its arms and more accentuated its elbows. I like that a whole lot more. So because you're going to have a static team on the actual art for the game, I'm just trying to ignore specific artists' skill rather than their talent in character creation. Tuxedo and Sankito. Immediately, I think that they're a little too similar with just body color. Say if you change the eyes and wings to yellow, maybe that'd work. Maybe that little green too, into just a different color. Having some difference would help instead of just the shape of the creature. There are a good number of Pokemon that can change color and honestly work very well. Chagrin and Chishade up here, pretty good example. And then right below, the color scheme is just a little bit too similar. That's my only critique. Otherwise, this one looks pretty dang adorable. The wings aren't connected, but honestly, it just shows how thin that appendage really is. While this one looks more sharp and violent. I really dig it. Oret, Envelid, and Magroplex. All steel, and all showing steel very well. I'm gonna say Anvilid looks a little bit too much like Aggron. I don't know. So let me dissect the others first. Orit, it looks simple enough. It looks unique enough too. It kind of like an armadillo, since it only has the plating on the back, and relatively simple underneath. So its defining feature is the more detailed steel plating. Magroplex, it is very detailed for a third evolution and is very basic, which helps it stand out a lot. And having so much detail and jagged features on its face helps direct the eye and make the whole design a little bit more complex. I feel at any other angle you'd need something, even if it was just spikes running down the spine, just to keep things a little bit more interesting throughout the entire design. Even Oret here has a large lump, which is the majority of its body, before going off into a point, and then another lump for the end of its tail. Something similar like that. Steelix has little jets of rocks for kind of arms, while Onyx is a little bit more plain. Anvilid, you could have gone with the two-armed slug approach, like Skuro. Have it be something a little bit halfway point between Magroplex. You might have started with these little nubbins for back legs, but having it be more elongated rather than a bulbous boy might have helped transition between a four-legged or a quadruped and a snake-esque creature. Aside from that, I like the colors. I like how Oret has a little bit of purple coming through, but by the end it's more greenish to represent the steel. Maybe you could have lots of rust like we saw in another Pokemon, just to give it more color. That might be better than just spikes down the back. I really like the end. Beginning's pretty good. Middle could use some work. VP. Very adorable. I have no idea what it's supposed to be. It's got a feminine design with long hair and a dress. Got the big eyes, got a slight smile, hair covering an eye, all of which somewhat make it adorable. I really have nothing to say if I don't have something to attach it to. Okay, so color. It's all white, which, okay, sure, that represents normal pretty well. And I really appreciate how they shadowed in blue. I'm a little confused about why there is red lining in the middle. But other than that, the red's kind of nice just to have that bright contrast. Little bits on the ears, nice. I like how it's not just to a point, it swoops over and then to a point on its ears and the hair, while the rest, the appendages, all end in points. Chilloth and Sokoth. Gen 3 is my favorite, and immediately I'm going to the sloths. So Sokoth, I think, is actually pretty good. It differentiates itself from the other sloths by being more happy, maybe taking a little bit too much of that medicine, you know? It's strong, but very mellow. Chilloth, I understand it's also trying to be mellow, but chill is probably the wrong word to use there if it's just going to be water type, since it has another connotation of just cold. Also a little bit iffy on the oval body shape that it has. It almost has no neck. Its arms just go straight up into its head. I feel like a little bit more definition in the body shape would be nice. Otherwise, the limbs look kind of plain, but the color does help. And it does lead into what Chilloth will evolve into. And also just having the red nose there, real nice. Tells you exactly where the face is at all times. And then they're just enjoying themselves, so it's hard to be mad or disappointed. And now, Chayan, Makwarrior, and Osarumi, which I know that this is a split evolution. The final split evolution of the Pokedex, if I'm not mistaken. Because I had to look that up thanks to the first video. I'm just going to come out and say, yeah, this is nice. This is a great example of humanoid Pokemon working great. Chayan definitely leads into either one of these real simply. The blue goes to Osarumi, the red connects to Muck Warrior, while still keeping its personal identity. Muck Warrior, much more jagged in its design. For the most part, there's still going to be rounded edges and jagged edges on both of them, but its defining feature, its arms seem to be jagged. It's honestly really nice. It looks very tough. While Osarume also looks tough, but in a different way. It feels like it's more quick, more fluid in its motions, rather than Muck Warrior. And honestly, I love the Aztec inspiration. They took lots of the designs from headdresses and just clothing that I've seen in several pictures and influenced the design. I particularly like the headdress and earrings of Osarume. And I'm pretty sure that this was one of the old weapons that they used to use. Fortify and Orwish. I like how Orwish is the wishing star, or is a wishing star. I find that really adorable, and I think I got that right away. Fortify, it looks, so it almost looks like a crown. The grayish, tannish, brownish color, it portrays somewhere between ground and steel, so maybe that's fortifying itself with natural elements. But otherwise, I get the fry because it's a fish, but I don't understand the name. For a fish, it looks pretty cool. And I like where they decided to add in flourishes to make it look unique. With the little mustache there. The weird eye design I find eye-catching. And then the frills in the back. Orwish I find astounding. The eyes, the little mustaches brings that back. The almost crown on its head becoming what seems to be a true crown, and even in color. I don't know where the star would have come from, but that's fine because it's a specific thing to that Pokemon instead of the line. That can still work, and it's building up towards something big, which I really enjoy. And Psychic, yeah, if it's a wishing star, why not? Smashieri. With a name like that, I'm glad it's not just a Braviary clone again. And it's taking a fighting pose, so I can understand where that's coming from. The bandages around its limbs help with that. Lots of stripes. In fact, you can probably take this stripe here, leading to the others, as a black belt. So maybe that's why they decided to do black stripes and black tips for the wings, tail, and head. I really like that. If it's a black belt, I love it. Even looks like they're wearing shorts, kind of ready to fight. Giving you the side eye, an angry side eye too, I like it. And I kind of like how it's pink instead of just a blue or a red, kind of like what other Pokemon generally are. Bird Pokemon. Slatic Telsion? Chameleome. Okay, I like Chameleome. That name is perfect. I like the differences in the eyes. Chameleome's eyes look more direct in its comparison to a chameleon's, but because of the eye changing color and the circular nature that follows through, I like it. There's enough of a difference established with the change in color, but the line is always there to keep you in that mindset of, this is a chameleon. I do think they should have kept this style, having a larger dot in the middle. That might have looked really cool. You can definitely get electric from each one of these, even if Chameleome is more green and blue, just because of how the original lines are and the spikes all around it. I do feel like a secondary water nature would have worked, and it would have found its place easily with this line, because of just how blue, the color blue is everywhere in these designs. The final doesn't even have yellow, it's just blue and green. Blue, green, yellow for the middle, and then blue, dark blue, yellow for the earlier. So I would have thought, if I was just given the colors, I would have thought it was a water type. But because of the yellow accents where they are, the jagged positions on the secondary and third forms, it still works. Even the little jagged nails on the very first Slatic. Overall, pretty cool. I even like how the horns just jut out at the end.
It doesn't start as very much. The eyebrows are rounded. Secondary evolution, they start to jag up like a horn, and by the final, they look pretty menacing. I like that indeed. Glauca and Hydranicus. I'm not exactly sure what these inspirations are. The poison typing is represented by the poison on its back, which I'm hoping is some sort of poison sac. I guess I'm hoping that. And the water's easily represented by both the shape of the Pokemon in general and the large amounts of blue that is used on the main body. I like, particularly in Hydronicus's, that the head does meld in with the body. That might be a critique on some, but because it's supposed to be a fish, or it could be, because it's supposed to be a water type, melding it together does bring to mind a fish, so that helps a bit. The feathers do confuse the design or the typing. And in fact, you'd probably guess that this was a water flying before you thought it would be a water poison. But because of the large purple area, it's not too far of a stretch. If it wasn't for that, water poison would not be coming across at all. It works. I wish whoever would have put some more thought into how poison was represented. However, it's very nice to think that such a big part of this Pokemon is just right there, shown easily where it's supposed to be and nowhere else. Because it's supposed to be in nature, poison is supposed to be defense against something. So having it on its back, where most creatures are weakest, makes sense. Oh, these are adorable. Lintel, Silkinder, and Paramoth. So, looks like they split based off gender. Lintel looks so adorable. Little cozy, almost in a sleeping bag. Even though I can see its arms, limbs. Very simple design. I love just simply white, black, and yellow. I like it. I like it a lot. Silkinder, male and female forms. Wearing a cloak / a dress, depending upon what gender it is. I kind of like how the little tendrils on its head can be either eyebrows or a bow. It just looks so adorable. And apparently, in the final evolution, it gets pincers that are either hooked if it's a female or straight out if it's a male. That's pretty interesting. But overall, this line is so cool. I like how the first evolution is so different. Because of how bugs... Oh god, what's it called? Metamorphize? This one changed early as its first evolution, and then looked relatively the same in the latter two, but there are definite growths. I really like how the female changes color. I kind of wish the male did that more generally. Started off as a darker blue, maybe ended off as a darker blue. Either way, fantastic. And just keeping bug works well. You can tell based off of the little mouth it has and the fur that it could just be bug. 177. Parapi and Mawasite. Very interesting. Crustaceans. In fact, Parapi looks like a crustacean coming out of a fish crustacean. It's kind of weird. Is that supposed to be a mouth? Is it supposed to be parasitic? If it is, I kind of want to put eyes on the outer body, because it looked pretty dark. And we've already established I like it dark. Mawasite? I love it. Again, parasite is what I'm thinking of, but it also just looks like a crustacean, a lobster. And I like how it balances in its intricate design and the simplicity of Pokemon. It is absolutely a final evolution, but it nails it. It nails the design pretty hard. I could see this being on my team, and Waterbug completely see it. Chimpoka, Semmayan, Monkeyzuma. Fighting monkey with gold aesthetic the whole way through. I can see that they've amassed gold and power by the end of its line. Very nice. I kind of like how the belly button on Chimpoka, I guess, becomes a nipple on Simian, because the belly button would look a little too weird, but is back to a belly button on Monkeyzuma. That little design around its torso, it's nice. It makes the torso seem less bland. Yeah, there's not too much to say otherwise. I like their poses, even though I think Chimpoka's been used before. Semayan, its pose is a little funky. I like it. Monkeyzuma, it's pretty. Maybe you could have done something more fun with its pose. I mean, it shows the strong arms, front and center, so it does its job. All of it does its job, and I even like the color. The desaturated blue that turns into it just darkens over time. Almost loses saturation in Simmayan before coming back in Monkeyzuma. But really solid. I enjoy those. Enigmite and Enigmantis. With Enigmite, yeah, you can definitely tell that there's some thought processes going on. So maybe psychic powers. It's holding on to that rock for some reason. And by Enigmantis, it might have polished that rock into a beautiful sphere. Its arms become more insect-like and more durable. It's probably a mixed attacker, is going to be my guess. Oh, special attack speed. I can see the speed, but I probably would have gotten rid of some of the spikes just so that you don't think it's a physical attacker. Otherwise, yeah, I like it. This is just reminding me of Digimon, though. But the colors are nice. It definitely gives off the psychic typing color. Surprisingly, I like the pink and maroon, even though it's psychic. It does have enough blue and yellow just to stand out a little bit. And it fits the ladybug theme of the original. Praying Mantis, kinda. I do enjoy that they have an extendo brain now that they are psychic. Ooh. RGB. Roy GB. Every PC gamer needs RGB. RGB, I would have redesigned it so that maybe their body was slimmer while the fins are longer, just to show off what it's named after a little bit more. Roy GB. BV? I don't know how to say that at all. Looks like a magnificent dragon. That's the first one I've seen. But I really love how it follows a rainbow of colors, starting from its head at red, finishing at its tail at purple, having many fins expressing different colors along the way, keeping the white body and having a black stripe basically from your neck down to your tail. I love it. It keeps the rest of the design simple, as its fins are its primary feature. I don't think I would have guessed that either of these would be normal. In fact, I probably would have said Roy GB was probably flying dragon. Well, RGB would have been... Okay, it follows normal pretty well. Barracuda and Jogodon. I like that the color changed, but I think that they're a bit too similar. I probably would have rounded out the head a little bit more on Barracuda, make it more cute, and by doing that, maybe I'd get rid of these hind spikes for sure, and maybe simplify the arms a bit. Maybe give it like little tiny feet, no legs, but just feet at the end. And then reduce the arms to thinner stumps, just to make it a little bit more adorable. And so that whenever it goes into Jogodon, it becomes awesome. And the jaw really becomes center stage. I'd also probably connect the head color to the back color so it fits Jogodon's follow through of that design. Drosire? And Sunduke. Other than the Mayan influence, I don't know what type of plant this is supposed to be. And just grass? It almost looks grass poison. But grass, yeah, works great for grass, having almost leaves popping out from the middle of its head and the bottom of its neck. And being not animal influenced, it's kind of refreshing. But I'm seriously confused about what those things on the end of its vines are. They almost look berries because of Sunduke's headdress design. And I do think that Sunduke does enough to differentiate itself from Drosire, because the leaves are a little bit more spread apart and have a black undertone. And because it grows two more. So it does a little bit. Maybe I would have made the face a bit more intricate with whatever plants that is influenced on. This one's really hard to say. It's kind of like the normal type. I get the Aztec influence, but that's about it. Whispern and Fantern. I feel like Whispern and Fantern could have been Chandelure variations, though this was made before variations was really explored. So, I find their designs kind of cool. They're very different from just the Chandelure line when it comes to their physical representations. It seems like a Pokemon or a ghost has taken over lanterns. Whispern, it almost looks like it's got this string attached to its body, and those are its limbs jutting out. Well, it's got a huge head, almost like an octopus. Well, Fantern looks more like a lantern, but I like how the Phantom itself has started to become one of those little ribbons on the bottom. So it's embracing its design a bit more. Galacto and Lavoon? Okay, so it is the same line. Remoraid Octillery type thing, where the species don't match, but the Pokemon do. So Galacto and Lavaloon. I love how they almost look like lava lamps, but I believe that they're supposed to be the lava in the ocean. Underwater sea vents. I believe that's what they're called, underwater sea vents. But then also having a lava lamp influence, especially Galacto, which almost looks like a lava lamp, is on the squid head, or is the squid head. And because of that, I really like how the tentacles end off in a bubbly end that is the same color as the lava in the head. Same with the eyes. It makes the design feel more connected in one unit. Kind of similar to Lavaloon, who from this angle almost looks like using the lava lamp or magma as an energy source for its tail. It's a little confusing there, but I also just really like how it has 6 fins. It does make it stand out other than just a whale, which if you got rid of these two on either side, it'd be pretty boring. But having 6 makes it look just that much cooler, honestly. It's very dumb, but just adding an extra limb might help. Ooh. Oh! Okay. Gila, Hornizard, and Ankylosaur. And Ankylosaur is my favorite dinosaur. So that makes me very happy. And a Gila, I'm from Arizona. I'm familiar with Gilas. Doesn't look like one, but it looks pretty adorable. And having a Gila as a pre-evolution to a horny lizard, horny lizard, I think works well. Plus, the Gila does have that rounded head, perfect for baby dinosaur Pokemon, I guess. Having a horny lizard as a secondary, because it does have those little spikes, and having a dinosaur as the final. Oh! And then I know that there's a lizard that shoots blood out of its eye, but I'm not sure if it's the horny lizard. If it is, that red lining that also hints at the head plate of the Ankylosaur, that's nice. If not, it's still nice to have that little hint of red that comes out of nowhere on Gila, little tiny bit on Hornizard breaking out, and then little splash on Ankylosaur. I'd probably have this. I would want to have this on my team. A poison ground at the end that looks that cool, and that probably a tank. Oh, that'd be nice. Attacker and defender, and then HP. Yep. That'd be cool. That'd be very cool Pokemon to have on my team. Basilisk, Ornithurb, and Diloflora. I think Basilisk and Ornithurb are a little too similar. I like how the nose jets out into more of a point here, and then it grows eyebrows. But the top of its head and the relative shape stays pretty consistent. Maybe shorten this a bit. Yeah, shorten it, make it more like Charmeleon's little jut. I do like how its color just develops more, buds more like a flower. Its arms get skinnier. Well, maybe it's supposed to be more of a tank, then that wouldn't work so well. Maybe I just have this one be less hunched. But what's the final look like? Still hunched. The positions are very similar, which doesn't help differentiate. But other than that, having the eyebrows introduced in the second, and then grow to such a phenomenal degree in the third. So great! It's big brain time, so you know it's gonna get serious. It does look like a prehistoric raptor, and I really like that. Overall, pretty nice. Grass Dark, were they all Grass Dark? No. So the final being Grass Dark, yeah, it works. Did the others? And then coloring its beak, that does help change it a bit. And that does help that greater definition of a dark type. Baboom. It's supposed to be electric dark, but the first thing my mind goes to is red. This feels more like it's trying to be a superhero than anything. I understand that the fur is supposed to be thunder clouds and then lightning and thunder coming off of it, but the red doesn't work that well. You can argue the blue because of the dark sky, but the red is just way too confusing. It doesn't look like any particular type. Concept is okay, but that needs to change to something. Isotope. Chill Noble. You ain't got no chill. Ice Poison. With Chernobyl, I can absolutely see the poison, the isotope. It does still have that radiation symbol. I like it. And then just keeping both of these being more gelatinous to show the radiation as something is melting. Isotope, I wonder if its inspiration is the elephant foot. Just to keep it more rounded. I don't know. That if it was, that'd be pretty nice. If it wasn't, maybe rethink, because that'd be pretty cool. Wendigo and Carnival. An easy evolution of for a quadruped going into a biped. Growing horns, but growing horns is a little out of place, but it hints at it at the very beginning, so it works perfectly fine. I like how the paws do have a starting strange color, so that hints at maybe a different use. And then having them be more gauntlets in the final. I like it. Aside from that, Wendigo looks a little normal. Maybe I'd do something different with its body. Maybe I would already have hints about its mid-torso or stomach area being that same gray as the paws. Ice Dark works fine for Carnival. And Wendigo Ice, completely get it. In fact, maybe a little, the brown would confuse the typing a bit. Luchito and Eluchadon. I love them. Again, I already expressed some love of horse designs. How many Pokemon? Oh, dear me. Okay. So Luchito and Eluchadon I love that Alushadon has the mask. Much like Halucha. There we go, Halucha. Much like Halucha. But then the other one is just starting to get into wrestling, so it doesn't have a mask yet. I really like that the hair represents electricity. You can see how much energy Luchito has in its tail. And Elushadon doesn't seem to have the same tail. It looks like it's almost exploded with electricity. But then both of these seem energetic and ready to fight. I like it. I like them a lot. And then just having the spandex be blue and yellow. Already. Fantastic. Doesn't matter what the skin color is, you can tell that that is an electric. Without having it be so integrated to the Pokemon. Feels like they're wearing that to express their electric nature. Grolem and Cosmosis. I feel like these could run into the same problems as two from the earlier part. I really hope that there is like a light in their eye denoting where they're looking at or something similar. Otherwise, I kind of like how it's almost like they're wearing a sack backpack. Even though it's mainly just supposed to be a bush growing on their back and lots of moss. It seems like they're a traveler. It reminds me a lot of Somali and the Forest Spirit. Whenever you think of the dad in that show, I could see him much in the position of Cosmosis. And that makes me happy about this design. Grass and rock are absolutely shown in here. Maybe a little bit of psychic, but grass and rock are easily represented here, first and foremost. Okay, so Larvin looks like a chunky boy. An angry chunky boy. Let's see what he evolves into. Oh! Dracoon and Basilect. I like it. Definitely Basilect looks like a bug dragon. Reminds me of the fat dragon of How to Train Your Dragon. And then Dracoon, it almost looks like it's happily enjoying part of an apple. So it doesn't exactly fall into like the same Kakuna trap and Silcoon, where it's just a cocoon. This one looks like it'll be happily running around a bit. So I'm very happy that this isn't just a round ball with eyes. And Basilect looks like something you'd want to wait for. It's gonna be something that can destroy stuff for you, man. Carbite, Pressor, Diamat. Okay, so Carbite looks like a dragon. Looks like a bit of a rock dragon. Pressor, okay. Definitely looks more like a rock than a dragon, but sure, you can keep the line going. And then Diamat, dragon rock, sure. I feel like Carbite should have also been rock. And then throughout the line you get hints about what Carbite will be, thanks to the turquoise in its eyes. Almost, you could take it as the color of diamond, but Diamat definitely represents the color diamond way more, with darker blues and lighter blues. Pressor looks a little weird. It's such a big change to Carbite. It's much like a cocoon, and I'm if it's going to become something as big as Diamat, I don't think it should look smaller than Carbite. Carbite and Diamat look great. Pressor, I know what you're doing, but it doesn't look so great. Quecko, Tozeko. Lovely. The uses of yellow, red, and green here look fantastic. Even with that, I can still get a grass more than electric. The smooth nature doesn't really... the rounded edges of both of these Pokemon don't bring across electric despite how much yellow is used, nor do the red represent fire. Tozako doesn't look so much like a dragon, but I can see it. It looks more like a snake to me. But it still looks like it can fit the type, no problem. And grass, without a doubt. I like them both. I like the changes that underwent too. Yeah, and then they even got rid of the legs in the second. Keeping that somewhat unique only 2-arm dragon, lizard, quadruped, not really going on. Ooh, Crackling and Fuelong. I really like it. Such a stark difference between what I guess is a firecracker and, I don't know, is a Fuelong like a bottle rocket? And then I really, really like how Crackling is almost trying to intimidate Fuelong in what positions they're taking, because it's so similar, but that helps you understand the differences between how small Crackling is and how grandiose Fuelong is. Absolutely represents dragon, by the way, and both of them absolutely represent fire. In fact, I think, in my opinion, they do the tail fire better than Charmander because, I mean, it's supposed to be a firecracker, right? You light the ends. And then the top of their heads that almost mixes with a cloud so you can tell that they're flying. I like it. I maybe would have changed the shape of Crackling's mouth, but if that's the only thing I can comment on, I love the design. Draguar Ragnaro. I like how the limbs aren't just to support it. It looks way more like flippers. And the webbed head design and the curl in the back of it does definitely support the water typing. So having it be blue, cementing that further, fantastic. Then introducing Ragnaro with more of the designs, its wings looking like a mast of a ship, and having it itself look like a ship's, I don't know what it's called, but a animal or human representation of something in the front of the ship. I like it. Its arms look like paddles, and then you can look back at Dragar and think, oh, I can kind of see that. And then dragon being shown by its wings and strong jaw. It's pretty cool. Definitely influenced by dragons and ships. Even with a red, you can't mistake it for anything else but a ship. So, perfect. I like that once you've established what typing it is based off of physical features, you can go in and color it completely different, and it can still represent that type. To me, that shows a fantastic use of design. And then you're able to take advantage of that through unique coloring for typing. Okay. These look kind of like Reggie's. Irion Erase. I guess they work. I've never been one for the thicker Pokemon. Strongmen type Pokemon. Each represents their unique different types very well. Having all of them be steels, they definitely feel like another trio. But having them colored in red, smoke and purple, and electricity definitely help with what they're supposed to be. I also like how Eron's has one eye, Irion has two, and Erase have three, so it does still kind of follow through, despite not being a line, that these are connected. And then with their builds being so similar, including the hands are very strange, but they all work. Yeah, they did pretty well for a trio. I mean, anything's better than Tornadus, Landorus, and Thundurus, right? Patama? It makes me think of Lone Leaf and Forthorn. Like it's a mother guardian spirit to those. And I'm wondering if that's in the lore. Because the colors are very similar, and the inspiration, I think, is something similar. But I like how it's almost like a celebi. It looks like a wooden idol covered in plants, but is slowly rotting away. Oh yeah, rotting away, so it's ghost type. Okay, I probably wouldn't have guessed ghost at first, but on second look, yeah, absolutely. The mysterious eyes might help with that too. But the dying leaves absolutely bring that away, and I think that's a hole in the wood, in the wooden idol, in the middle of its chest. Machima, again, a hole in the middle of its chest. Is this another 3? Okay. Another hole in its chest, going off into an ends like a spirit. Yeah, they all have holes in their chest too. Okay. And then interesting eyes as well. Eyes that, again, I don't think need pupils, but can still denote whether or not they're alive or sleeping. Machima, I feel like something could have happened on her hood. Maybe just the design or something. Maybe have like little wings jutting out to denote flying type a little bit more. I think that's a little underrepresented here. But otherwise, pretty cool. I probably would have guessed normal ghost. God, normal ghost. And then Yakuma, which is water, definitely represented by the jellyfish-like dress and hat that she's wearing, keeping the hole in the heart, and then having phantasmic tendrils coming out of her hair like jellyfish's limb, or like jellyfish tendrils, I guess. Very cool. The dark coloring and the lights help promote ghost, but also do bring to mind jellyfish, so water works out well too. Quetzar absolutely represents rock and dragon perfectly. I like how the Aztec theming is coming back. Even though these almost look like ears, they do still represent Aztec design. And overall, it looks pretty cool. Having wings on more of an Eastern dragon, I have always kind of liked the design of. Xochi and Zotek. I'm gonna treat these two kind of pair as well because they're both psychic, and these legendaries seem to be mostly in pairs except Quetzar. But Xochi looks very adorable. Looks like it's trying to win you over, and the red and orange definitely bring out fire, even though I don't think it's very well represented in the design. It's heavily represented in the coloring, though. So, it can balance out. I do like how they still added splashes of turquoise and kept the face white, just to more accentuate the red eyes and maybe the pink cheeks. Zotek, I really don't think I would have guessed steel. It looks very gold, which I probably would have guessed that was gold, but if that was the case, Montezuma's line, I would have thought they would be steel as well because of the same thing. Because I didn't think these guys were fighting steel. I didn't think that Zotek was steel at all. However, psychic, pretty easily represented in both of these. The big head compared to the body does denote some sort of psychic ability. For Xochi, the little bubbles on the end of her hair, that somehow or another represents psychic ability to me, and I'm not sure why. Zotek, though, well, it has the third eye, middle of the forehead gem. So, you know what? No, that's fine. So other than typing, I much prefer Zotek. I think it's such a more interesting design. Having the little capped feathers like what I thought Machima should have on its head. Which, maybe now, a little too similar. Unless there's a story reason. But then having the green there, that's so strange and I love it. The green that covers the entire eye and it's just outlined in black, I absolutely love. That
was a lot of Pokemon that I went over. I didn't do it all at once, thank God.
This is so cool. I think a major plus about having a large group of people designing all of these Pokemon are, first of all, having such different designs. Having them be so different in inspiration and even technique does help keep everything varied and diverse. Secondly, even if there are creators that do immense work and have lots of designs, you can spread it out throughout the entire decks so that somebody who just did what I did and went through all of them one by one continue to find interesting things over and over and over again. And it isn't front loaded with all of the amazing designs up front. I do think that the starters were fantastic, but you have to have fantastic starters, am I right? Looking over everything, there are a few Pokemon that I'm confused about the typing for. I'm really hoping that it's explained in a Pokedex entry or something. Maybe even story. But otherwise, I'm just impressed. So many cool designs. And so much inspiration for what I'm going to create. So, yeah, thank you very much. If you want to see more on different Fakemon Pokedexes, please let me know. Comment down below whether or not, or what type of Pokedex you want me to see. And link it if you want.
Thank you, and have a good night.